Drivers, welcome to the Fast Cars, Fast Money podcast. It's myself, Coop, and Rich here for the NASCAR DFS Dover Cup video. What's going on? What's going on, guys?
Start your engines.
What's up, everyone?
Yeah, get that green flag waving. It's time to make some money. So, as always, we're gonna be breaking down the slates like we always do, giving you guys our the picks, our thoughts behind why we're high on guys, why we're low on others, kind of our strategy and initial thoughts for the race. So, again, they're running the 750 horsepower package for this race, and if you look at some of the previous races, it's the same package they just ran last week at Darlington. So if you're looking at, track history or looking at races earlier in the year, I would probably say Darlington is probably your top option there, just because this is the same package that they just ran there, and it's more of an intermediate track. Dover's 1 mile in length. It has the nickname, the Monster Mile. A lot of laps here. So Dominator points are going to be really important. And when you're looking at Dominators, I can't think of three better ones than, Larson, Truex, and Hamlin. I think regardless of whether you play two of those guys together or just one of them, hoping that they have a performance like Truex did last week, I think that's the way to go this week. So I think if you can start with those guys and then pair them with some good value plays or maybe some good place differential plays, I think that's going to be the way to take down a tournament this weekend, which we're all trying to do. But either of you guys have any other initial thoughts before we get to the picks?
No, sir.
No, sir. All right, let's just get right into it. And then, as always, if you guys want this spreadsheet, it's on Twitter. Just go to @FastCarsFM. You can pull this up yourselves. You can ask us any questions. We'll be updating this, if any of our thoughts change before the race starts. And then you can also drop comments down on the YouTube comment section below. We'll make sure we get back to you before the slate locks. But all right, guys, if you're looking at Truex, Larson, Hamlin, Elliott, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch, who are these expensive guys that you're going out of your way to make sure are in your lines?
My favorite play today, I think, is Truex. He's performed really, really well here in the past couple of years. I think he can get out front and lead a bunch of laps just like he did last week. He really was impressive last week, and I expect more of the same this week. If he can get out front early and hold everybody else off, he's in for a great day. Not far behind are Larson and Hamlin, though. I have interest in all three of these top guys. Most likely I'm going to try and jam two of these top three in my line, and then we'll have to go down and find some value later down below. But if I can get two Dominators in my line, I'm really trying to do it. And those top three drivers are the most likely to lead the laps in this race. And then in the back end of the 10K range, I don't have as much interest. Maybe a Brad Keselowski. He's starting 15th, so he offers a little bit of PD upside. But out of those three on the back end of the 10K range, I'd much rather go up and pay for the 11K drivers.
Yeah, I agree. I think Truex is the guy this week. I'll probably have a lot of them in my 20 max. I also really like Kyle Larson. He was fast last week, and he's been one of the other fastest cars in the series this year. I'll probably have a little bit more Martin Truex over Larson just because I think Truex can get out and dominate the race a little bit earlier and maybe get out and just lead for the majority of the race until we get into stage two. But there's a guy up here that I actually do like a lot, and I think is going to come in under-owned, and that's Chase Elliott. I actually think we're going to see something from him this week. He actually ran pretty well last week with this package, and I expect to see him up there and pushing for Dominator points and pushing for the race lead.
Yeah, like Rich said, I think Elliott, Keselowski, and maybe even Kyle Busch to an extent. I think their ownership is definitely going to take a hit just because I think people are going to pay up for a Truex, a Larson, and Hamlin. I know I am. So I'm probably not going to have a lot of Elliott, Keselowski, and Kyle Busch. Maybe I'll play a Truex and an Elliott or a Larson and a Kyle Busch just to be a little bit different. But if I'm building a main line, a line that I feel the most confident in, I think I'm going to try to go out of my way to get Larson and Truex in there. And if I'm doing that, it makes it really difficult to get to this 9K range of Harvick, Logano, and Bowman. But even if I wasn't, I don't know if I feel too confident about any of them. If I had to pick one, maybe Bowman, just because of where he's starting. And I think, he can give you some good place differential points. We just haven't seen Harvick up front like we're used to seeing. And Logano he's kind of hit or miss. He had some good short run speed last week, but he was never really able to get up there and contend like the JGR cars were. So to me, I'm probably going to be skipping over this range entirely, just with the thought process of I'm going to rely on Larson and Truex or maybe Hamlin to carry those dominator points for me. And then, like Coop said, if I'm doing that, I really got to dig low and kind of find some value. But what about you? Do you guys have any interest in these three guys or no?
I don't really have much interest in the 9K range this week. I don't really think any of them are bad plays. Harvick actually ran all right last week. I think he got pit road or something, got caught back in traffic, but he ended up finishing all right, I think. But not really much interest in these guys this week.
I have a little bit in Bowman, but only if for whatever reason I end up with 92K left. Not too interested in the other two, but don't mind him as a GPP play at all. I will say that I really like William Byron this week as a GPP only play in a large contest. I don't think he's going to garner much ownership, and if he gets out front, out of the top four, it's Truex, Hamlin, and Larson are the others that are starting in the top four there. And if those, for whatever reason, if Byron gets out front, I don't think anybody's going to be on him. I think everybody else is going to assume that the others are going to get out there. But Byron's been really fast this year, and he's been getting top 10 after top 10. I think last week was his 10th straight. So he's been really consistent. And all he needs is some laps led, and he's going to turn in a great day for you. So if you want to throw it out there in a large GPP tournament, I like Byron. I also like Kurt Busch this week. He's just been in some wrecks the past couple weeks, which is kind of pushing his starting position back, but he should get up there and drive for a top 10 finish. I'm not huge on anyone else in this range other than Bell. I think Christopher Bell is another good GPP play. Kind of wish he was starting a couple spots further back, but I like him there. He's raced really well this year.
Yeah, this is a range I like a lot. I think if you are paying up for two of those expensive guys, especially if they're, a Truex and a Larson, then I think you can probably get away with maybe one or two of these drivers if you're really, digging low. And for me, if I think that either a Truex, a Larson, a Hamlin is just going to dominate this race, I want to try to focus the rest of my line with either place differential points or finishing potential points. And when I look at this range, if I'm relying on Larson and Truex, I'm probably not going to play Byron, even though I think he's a good GPP play. Like Coop said, I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him. I'm not going to rely on Blaney to get those points. So for me, I have the interest in Kurt Busch and Eric Almirola strictly as just a place differential play. I just hope that they get, a top 15, top 12 finish at the end of the day. And as long as, Larson and Truex and Hamlin are doing their job, that's all I really need out of those guys. And then same with Bell. I mean, Bell, he's in the same equipment as, Hamlin and Truex and Kyle Busch. So, and he's a lot cheaper. And he was running really well last week at Darlington before I think he had a tire go down with like 4 laps to go or something. And didn't kill his day, but he was going to have a much better day without that. So this 8K range, I like a lot. I'm going to really try to, jam these guys in my lineups, whether it's cash or GPPs. But what about you, Rich?
Yeah, I think Kurt Busch is my favorite play in this range. He's been getting pretty unlucky this year. He's in this car is a top 12 car every single week, and I have no problem playing him at this price. I feel like he'll be up there. And then Christopher Bell, like you guys said, I wish he was starting a couple spots back, but the JGR cars have been super fast this year, and he should have no problem staying up there in the top 10 most of the race. And then moving on down, I do actually really like Matty D because he's pretty good on these short tracks, and Dover is similar to Bristol. They kind of race the same way, and Bristol's his best track, and he offers a few PD spots starting there at 18th. And Cole Custer's all right starting 30th. He's not going to he's a little expensive this week because he's starting so far back, but he probably move up a little bit, finishing top 23 or so, and maybe pay off that price tag. Don't really have a problem with Tyler Reddick there. You just need him to finish about where he starts. And then Ricky Stenhouse, I do like him. He's been running well all year. Gotten a little, I think he wrecked at Talladega, which who doesn't wreck at Talladega, and then wrecked again at Kansas, but he ran well last week, so I have no problem playing him again this week.
Yeah, I also really like Matt DiBenedetto. The 9 out of 10 weeks, you'll hear me say that I like Christopher Bell a lot, and generally I'm not that big on DiBenedetto. I think this week is the first week all season that I might be higher on DiBenedetto than Christopher Bell. Like Rich said, he runs really well at these types of tracks, and he's got a little more PD upside there, and I think that they'll finish real close to each other. So I really like DiBenedetto. And then another guy I really like Stenhouse too. He's been solid all year, but I do think the upside probably isn't as high as a DiBenedetto or a Bell. And another guy that I think would be a sneaky GPP play would be Austin Dillon. He has not been talked about much this year, but he's had turned in a couple really good races, and I would not be upset if I ended with 7,400 in a GPP line and played Austin Dillon.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm probably going to focus the most on Cole Custer there, just because of the place differential points that he offers. Stuart Haas hasn't run great this year, but I think their 750 package actually has been running a little bit better than their 550 package. And like you guys touched on it too, I think Matty D's a really good play. Like Rich was saying, Dover is a track that it's very fast. You actually spend probably more time in the corners than you do on the straightaways, and it runs very similar to Bristol, and we've seen how well he runs there. So if he can carry that over, to Dover this weekend, I think he's going to be a good play. Getting down to the 6K range, this range is pretty tough. There's really only maybe two guys down here that I personally like, and that's going to be a Chase Briscoe and a Ross Chastain. The reason I like Briscoe is we saw him run decent at Darlington last week, and he's pretty cheap. I mean, he's only $6,100. And the package that they're racing actually runs more similar to the Xfinity package that the Xfinity guys currently race. And we saw how many wins Briscoe got last year in the Xfinity race, and he won one of those Xfinity races at Dover. So if he can carry that over and even just finish around where he starts, I think he'll be a good value play. And then Ross Chastain, he's in the same equipment as Kurt Busch there. Ross is quietly putting together some good runs. He had some stupid pit road strategy last weekend that basically put himself a lap down and took himself out of that race. I think he probably could have got maybe a couple more spots if he wouldn't have done that, I guess as crew chief. But regardless, those are kind of the two guys I like. What about you, Coop? Who do you like out of this range?
I do like Chastain. Early in the season, it seemed like he was just way too reckless and driving around like he was Ricky Stenhouse, but now he seems to calm down a little bit, and he's putting in good races and getting decent results. The other three that I like here are actually Daniel Suarez, Michael McDowell, and Ryan Preece. Reason being, I just think they've been the most consistent this year overall, and I really think that all three of them have a good chance at moving forward a couple spots. I don't, they've been not wrecking out, not being too reckless. They've been driving smart, and they've been consistently going forward a little bit. So I like those three drivers as punt plays, and I think they're relatively safe. And that's what I'm looking for in a punt play if I'm trying to really nail the dominators up top.
Yeah, in this range, you guys seem to be a little bit higher on Chastain than I am. He has been running well over the past, 6 or 7 races, but he's still pissing guys off left and right every single time he's out on the track. And at these short tracks, it only takes one guy to put you in the wall and end your day. So I'm going to probably be a little bit or have a little bit lower ownership on him than you guys. But I don't mind Daniel Suarez. I know this package hasn't been been a Trackhouse strong suit. But Suarez has been running pretty well all year, and I have no problem playing him. He's pretty cheap. Doesn't really have to do much to pay off the price tag. And then one of the cheaper punts that I like is Corey LaJoie. He always seems to run well with this package and run well on the short tracks. So I have no problem playing Corey LaJoie this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes in the top 15.
Yeah, I like LaJoie a lot too. We've seen the Spire team run a lot better. You know, it's kind of almost like the opposite from the Daniel Suarez team. Like the Daniel Suarez Trackhouse team, they run really, really well with the high downforce, the low horsepower package, and it's the complete opposite for Corey LaJoie. Like he runs terrible with that package, but with this package, his team actually runs pretty well. It's really easy. He's cheap. If you're paying up for, you know, the Larsons, the Truexes, the Hamlins, you got to come down here and find some value. And I like LaJoie there starting 26. I think he can finish around there and maybe even move forward a couple spots. And that's really all you're asking for at this point. Another guy that, you know, believe it or not, if you need an ugly punt this week, I think Quinn Huff is viable. I'm not saying he's a great play, but he's cheap enough that it allows you to get those really attractive place differential plays in your lines, like the Cole Custers, the Kurt Bushes, the Eric Almirola's. And if Truex and Larson are dominating the race, you know, if Huff scores maybe 5 or 10 points less than a Haley or Alfredo or LaJoie, and you get more points from those other guys because of the salary that you're saving, it might actually work out in your favor. I don't know if it'll be optimal, but it's a good way to kind of save some salary, and he basically almost starts last, so he's not really going to hurt your line. And if guys wreck out like we saw last week with some of the, you know, Kurt Busch wrecked out, Eric Almirola wrecked out, and Cole Custer wrecked out, so all these ugly punts, you know, from pure attrition slowly move forward. So I don't mind Quinn Huff, but these punts, you just never feel good really about any of them.
Yeah, talk them into it, Andrew.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to have some Huff this week. I'm telling you. What about you, Coop? I know you sometimes are big on the punt. So do you like Huff too, or no?
No, this year's I'm all about the double punt, but this year there's not been any opportunities to double punt, not even in Daytona or Talladega. It's been frustrating.
I think the double punt's better in the Xfinity or the Truck Series.
Dude, we were talking about the Xfinity Series either. I know we're on the other series now, but we mentioned that Ty Gibbs was the cheapest driver, and I did double punt in that race, and it worked. So on that one. But that's been the only time this year. So I'm not big on punting anywhere below LaJoie. I'm staying above that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safest route to go. Probably the most popular route too, but you know, for good reason. So do you guys have any other final thoughts on this slate, or you ready to wrap it up and start crunching these lines?
Nope, let's get to it, everybody.
All right, let's get to do it for Dover. Again, thank you guys so much. We're already well on our way to 200 subscribers, so we couldn't thank you guys enough for helping us out and, you know, showing the support. But yeah, we'll catch you next weekend, and that'll do it for Dover.